Today we're going to play A House of Many Doors. It's kind of a roguelike, plot-driven, narrative-driven game with lots of good writing and a weird setting. A gruesome headache. Broken glass crunches behind your eye. Two concerned faces swim into view. Can you remember your name? Asked the balder of the two. Salty John. Good. The bald-headed man sits back. Rutherford, his name comes to you in a flash. You raise your fingers to your temple and brush over a rough bandage. Somewhere beneath, you can feel a tender hole in your skull, still oozing. Bandits, says the other man. Moonbrow? Monobrow. Bradley is his name. Ambushed us, boarded us, and took a memory right out of your head. Where are we? You're in the house, says Bradley. The captain is disoriented, not an idiot. Rutherford turns to you. We're out in the darkness, just a few rooms west of the city of Keys. We didn't get far. What is the house? Rutherford and Bradley exchange brief, worried glances. Must have dislodged something when they yanked the memory out, mutters Rutherford. The house is a parasite dimension, says Bradley. Endless dark rooms and locked doors. It steals things and people from other worlds. Ah, yes, it's coming back to you now. Why are we out here? Exploration, says Bradley. He pauses. You had some damn fool notion about escaping the house. Impossible, of course. But a question that had gnawed at your soul for years, nevertheless. One day you bought a kinetipede of your own, a clanking train on mechanical legs, hired a ragtag crew, and launched yourself into the darkness. What happened to my head? Don't you know? Rutherford laughs. That's how they get the memories out. He mimes a drill. Let's chase down those memory thieves. Bradley smashes his fist into his palm. We'll chase them down and hang them. Steady on, says Rutherford. You're in no condition to go chasing down miscreants, Salty John. I want to make sure your brain wasn't too badly damaged. Let me ask you some questions about your past. So this is the character creation process. Care to inspect the damage? Rutherford hands you the looking glass. Here's a good picture for Salty John. This guy looks pretty damn salty. Alright, so the various choices that we answer here are going to define our various attributes that will dictate our chances of success in various types of challenges that we might come across. A wise decision. Rutherford sits opposite a notepad in front of him. Tell me about your childhood. You had your own little niche in the tangled ecosystem of the city of Keys. What was it? So we have orphan, apprentice, heir, urchin, student, runaway, comfortable, hawker, and scavenger. And these all increase different attributes by 10. I want to go with comfortable because I've never done a playthrough in one of these games with high spirit. You were brought up by loving parents, and while you weren't wealthy, you never starved. Savor the memories. And your professional life? Asked Rutherford. You grew up, of course, as children sometimes do. Your childhood slipped away, and you earned your keep as detective, soldier, scholar, clergy, crook, industrialist, miner, adventurer, lawyer. Adventure increases insight. Let's see. You've never had a proper job. You've been traveling the house all your life, though you've never led an expedition. You've hitched rides, done dirty work, and risked your neck, all to see as much of this great dark world as possible. Let's go with adventurer. An escape. Maybe you left that way of life in disgrace. Maybe you retired in honor. Maybe you simply got bored. It doesn't matter. The fact you're left is what's important. Your work cannot have wholly been your life, says Rutherford. What was the other claim on your time? Pugilism. Debauchery. Yeah, say no more, fam. Drugs, alcohol, and other addictions. You've lost entire days and awoken without memories or regrets. Eventually, you built up a tolerance, increases guts by 5. Good news, says Rutherford. Your brain is mostly intact. Lodgings unlocked. Your lodgings can be found in the city of Keys. Gained 3 fragments of an epiphany. A memory was stolen from you. Whatever memory they took from you must have been important, says Bradley. Let's get it back. It's probably just a memory of happier days, says Rutherford, bored. Memory thieves can sell that sort of thing for a fortune on the black market. Not worth risking our lives over. You still look a little woozy, Captain, says Bradley. Do you want us to help you get back up to speed with the day-to-day running of things? Yeah, let's do that. I haven't played this game hardly at all. Bradley nods. The last we saw of the memory thieves, they were heading directly north of here, probably up to Clayton's Mill to sell your memory on the black market. Perhaps we can catch them. So this top panel, these are my officers. Let's see, I think this tutorial explains it. The upper deck crew are important characters with faces and names and unique stories. Talk to them and spend apprehensions to increase your stats. The lower deck crew will help you in combat and die horribly on your behalf. Recruit more upper and lower deck crew at any of the cities. Alright, let's give our lower deck crew some names. For guards, Adam G, Gunner, Tanner B, Junior Engineer, Andrew S, and Swabby, Spencer W. Your stats have a huge impact on gameplay. Grit increases combat damage, both melee and long range. Guts speeds up your individual crew's rate of healing and increases their overall HP in combat. Insight increases frequency of updates to your map. Spirit slows the rate of sanity decrease. Graft increases kinetipede speed and fuel efficiency. Guile increases your chance to dodge missiles in combat and successfully flee. Vigilance increases the chance your own missiles will hit. Esoterica increases the rate at which you gain apprehensions, which can be spent to improve all other stats. So we get these little news updates every now and then. They usually don't mean too much. The memory thieves are somewhere up here. Your navigator will sometimes update the map with nearby locations. This happens more often if you have a high insight. Let's just ram our ship into that and take some damage. Yeah, that's our hull, so we have 149 out of 150. We took some damage from that. Okay, these have to be the memory thieves. The memory thieves. You recognize their kinetipede instantly. It's much sleeker than your own cobbled-together mess. They're not trying to run. They're barreling straight towards you, legs all a-skitter. Can we attack, or can we ask for the memory back? So from where we have some spirit, we're at a slight advantage. Let's try it. The memory thieves prove surprisingly amenable. They will return your stolen memory. Fighting you is simply not worth the risk. You climb down to the floor, your boots sending up a great cloud of dust. Don't leave the circle of safety provided by your heart light. The dark would eat you alive. The memory thief captain is a typical bandit, an odd collection of scavenged clothes, goggles, bandana. He hands you the battered box that holds your stolen memory, and as he does so, his sleeve lifts. Strange, he has a tattoo of a skull with a line slashed through one eye socket. An odd tattoo. Looking him up and down, you notice other discrepancies. His fingernails too clean, his hair too neat, no scars, and all of his teeth. He turns and hurries back to his kinetipede before you can ask further questions. Okay, so we got our box of memories. Apprehensions, the sum total of what you learned about the house. Facts, secrets, fears. Use them to increase your stats or make progress in the main story. How do you gain apprehensions? Find new places, write poetry, complete quests. Okay, we still got plenty of fuel. Let's see, is there a way to, Okay, there it is, cargo. Box of memories. Can we do anything with that? Guess we can't right now. Okay. So this is our ship. We have one weapon, it looks like, and 4 weapon bays. We have pretty crappy armor, it looks like. Pretty bad legs. No trophy, and an antique engine. Oh, there we go. Retrieve your memories. Attach the nozzle to the hole in your skull and crank the handle. A blood-red mountain gazing down at you with one hideous bile-yellow eye. A motionless clock, blood seeping through the wall behind it. A hard-faced woman at a window with a key in her hand. Whose memories are these? Not yours, certainly. They don't fit with any of the others in your head. You had expected to complete a jigsaw. Instead, you found a piece from a different puzzle. The theft was an orchestrated affair. If you can hunt down the mastermind, perhaps you will learn more. The thieves have been fleeing to Clayton's Mill. Perhaps we should start there. Let's see. Clayton's Mill is to our west. A cairn, a tower of haphazardly heaped stones, entombing some ancient hero from another world. We can order it torn down. There must be something valuable in there, your crew muttered to each other in superstitious fear. If we tear that down, we might lose some sanity, probably, but I have high spirit, so... There's nothing of value under the cairn. Even the skeleton turned to dust long ago, but your crew murmur darkly about a curse. That night, you wake to find your quarters blanketed from ceiling to floor in seething cockroaches. How did they get in? It takes hours to drive them all out, but they're back the next night, and the next. Clayton's Mill, partly a town and partly a fortress, and partly one vast tavern. A creaking wooden monument built in defiance of the truism that crime doesn't pay. A shanty village, mostly composed of rusting canopies converted into houses or brothels, surrounds the great building at the center of the room. Lopsided and absurd, Clayton's Mill is huger than a cathedral, belching smoke and spinning a dozen blades. It bristles like a porcupine, with heavy-duty artillery, though you suspect that any one of those great cannons going off would cause the whole edifice to collapse. The journey to Clayton's Mill is a pilgrimage for thieves, pirates, and bandits. Here they can sell their misbegotten wares on the open. They can also drink and fight and kill each other without comment or consequence. In the mill itself, liquor flow is eternal, although Clayton Kanker himself is rarely seen in the public these days. So whenever you go to a city, you have a bunch of different options that you can choose from. Okay, we have 400 gold. Let's gather news. A section of the mill is being refurbished with a lick of paint and twice the artillery. A racketeer selling black market occult items in the mill was killed when his last acquisition malfunctioned, switching the anatomical placement of his heart and bladder. The memory thieves were heading here. Let's see. Clayton's Mill is usually a cacophony of shouts and raucous laughter, and the occasional spirited evacuation of bodily fluids. But when you approach today, the windows are shuttered. Clayton Kanker himself is behind the bar, a giant upper half of a man teetering atop clunky mechanical legs. He rubs a glass with a rag and eyes you carefully, but your attention is occupied by the room's other occupant, a woman whose face is covered by a bright, sharp steel. Salty John, she says coolly, please, sit. Let's sit. Clayton clanks over, glass whistling from his pneumatic knees, and pours you a glass of beer-like liquid. Her iron beak is distinctive, and finally you recognize her. Lady Stimphalian, a noblewoman from the City of Masks. You'd expect to meet her at a high society ball, not seated behind a horribly stained table in Clayton's Mill. I did not expect my men to survive, in truth, she says. They knew they were martyrs. I came here not to meet them, but to meet you. Why did you send your men to steal my memory? We don't care about which memory we stole, she says. We switched the memory boxes, you see. The memory you reclaimed was not your own. So I've got a new memory now, clocks and red mountains. What does it mean? Why fill my head with that? That memory has... well, the word infected is apt, but unnecessarily negative, says Lady Stimphalian. It has altered you. We were blocked from you before this, thanks to the machinations of your governor, but now we have a door into your head. You see, we are very interested in your search for an escape from the house, Salty John. Watch for us in your dreams. She stands and begins to put on her black lace gloves. I have explained as much as I care to. Understand that both of us are minor pieces in a very old game. Understand also that I have far less faith in you than my masters, and I believe things will end the same as always. Let's threaten her with blackmail. One of the masked heading a secret society? You're sure there are a dozen spy masters who would pay hand over fist for that information. You offer to keep her secrets in exchange for further clarification, but she just shrugs. The competent spy masters are already well aware of my extracurricular affairs, she says, and I have nothing to fear from the incompetent ones. Let's demand that she tell us more. I've told you all I care to tell, she says. I would advise that you don't start anything untoward. A pneumatic hiss, Clayton Kanker has casually set an enormous six-barreled shotgun up on the bar and is making only a cursory attempt to appear not to aim it in your direction. Leave her alone. She tosses you a purse of coins. You had only one path ahead of you before, she said. Now you have a second, darker, less traveled. She nods to you and then to Clanker behind the bar. He nods back respectfully. I do not expect to meet you again, she tells you. Sweet dreams. And with that, she leaves. Alright, back to the town. Let's ingratiate ourselves. Clayton Kanker is nowhere to be found, but Too Clever by Half is running a poker game in the corner. You know that the Korkar is one of Clayton's closest advisors. This could be an opportunity. Too Clever by Half looks up as you approach and offers you the kind of grin only a shark can produce. So we're at a disadvantage for trying to win this game. Yeah, I'm good. Let's see, are there any shops here? There's a fuel stop, a bar. Let's see, what does Too Clever by Half sell? Scandalous Gossip. Seditious Whispers, the Sixfold Principate. Terrible Secret. Dread Machinations. So, these items, Obscene Booklet and Witch's Butter. I'm not really sure what the value is in these items just yet. The bar has Blinding Hooch. Fuel stop has fuel. We're pretty good on fuel. We have 19 out of the 20 we started with. Let's save real quick. Where should we go? Guess we'll go north. Let's talk to some of our crew. Viola knocks. She looks down her nose at you whenever you suggest that she might do any work. She came in second in her entire year at the academy, she tells you, and this job is beneath her. With a sniff, she resumes reading the newspaper. How many apprehensions do we have? 23. So these are the things I can do to increase my attributes, but that one costs 15 out of my 23, so... Rutherford, a sour gray-faced man who drinks 2 bottles of whiskey a day and smokes like a chimney. Whiskey has been going missing from your cargo. Rutherford probably knows a thing or two about it. As you walk into his surgery, Rutherford hastily shoves a half-empty bottle under the table. What's the matter? He asks, struggling to focus his gaze. You stub your toe or something? Let's confront him about the missing whiskey. I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. He is so struck by remorse that he apparently needs a drink to recover. He fumbles and the bottle smashes onto the floor. Ah, piss, says Rutherford, swaying gently. With excruciating difficulty, he lights himself a cigarette. We have a casualty. Need an urgent whiskey transplant. If we're to save the patient, I'd better go to the cargo and see what I can find. Let's stop him. He shambles back sometime later with a bottle in each hand. I know, he chuckles. Ambitious, thought we could share. Alright, let's drink with him. You sit in silence for a while, passing the bottle back and forth. You're not the worst boss I ever had, says Rutherford. Not even in the bottom 10, he swigs. Did I ever tell you a story about how I lost my license? Go on. Rutherford gathers himself, puts the bottle to one side and takes a deep draw of his cigarette. Where do I start? He mutters. I had a doctor before my name once. Not exactly a respected physician, but at least I had a license. Unfortunately, I had an attack of conscience. You see, another drag on the cigarette, the Surgeons Association is stealing hearts. What do you mean? If their patients are poor enough and powerless enough, the association steals their heart, he said, leaving the patient with a shorter life expectancy and a hollow ribcage, but still alive somehow. Through occult interventions, I suspect. Why would they do that? Rutherford laughs darkly. It's a nice little money earner. Sell them to the factory. He nods in the vague direction of your Kinetipede's Heartlight. How do you think they make those things? Pigs' hearts? No, it needs to be human, and it needs to be alive. What can we do about this? Well, I went to the City Watch, but they just locked me up, says Rutherford. Then Holdsworth, the chairman of the association, came into the cell, offered me a lot of money to keep quiet, so of course I took it, because what am I, an idiot? He knocks back another nip of whiskey. His face is blotched, and he's slurring his words. How do you know this? I treated a patient without a heart, says Rutherford, a little old lady, sweetest woman you ever met. So I did some digging on her behalf, and dug a little too deep. Found that this was a common money-making scheme amongst the top brass at the association. I was just too low rung to know about it. He knocks back a second swig. He stumbles, drops his cigarette, and tries to put it out with his boot, but misses and kicks you in the shins. Let's leave him to his drinking. Rutherford raises a bottle to you and mock salute as you leave. Maybe the association was doing people a favor, he says. A heart can be an affliction. Alright. I think the ones with exclamation marks have... Uh-oh. We might be getting attacked. A featureless black flag streams from the Scorpiopede's tail. You suspect that this is some mercenary crew or other, passing the time between contracts with little light banditry. The gun in the Scorpiopede's tail flashes and smokes, and a second later a warning salvo burns bright overhead. 300 guineas, you hear through the radio. Let's try to flee. The heart light has been doused, and your Kinetipede slams into a lurching, scrambling movement. You skitter into the darkness before your enemy can react. Retreat to the shadows. Nice. We need to turn our heart light back on, though. Takes a little bit of time. Your heart light slows the rate at which your sanity drops. You can turn it off to hide from other vehicles and save fuel, but beware, there are things the light keeps at bay. Let's check out this ruin over here. Actually, exhaustion. You slave over your journals and notes, scraps of poetry, places you've been, people you've met. You fall asleep at your desk, tormented. You dream of trees. Tonight, you dream of gold leaf trees, boughs that drip sparkling filigree, blue skies above and grass underfoot, shining fruits so bright you mustn't look long. You've never seen anything so beautiful. An unfortunate place to find a corpse. She is hanging impaled by 8 spears. Blood-crusted hair hides her face, and the tree behind her is splattered red. As you step closer to examine her, she lifts her clouded eyes to meet yours. Finally, she says, a smile quirks the corner of her decayed lips. The years turn, we meet again. Nice to meet you, Persephone. The name comes to you in a flash. You aren't sure how you know it. Pleased to meet you too, Salty John, says Persephone. She lifts one hand carefully and brushes some of the hair from her face. Blood drips. Apologies for my appearance. I've been indisposed for a few thousand years. She pauses, grimacing, to pull one of the spears lodged through her. It doesn't budge. You're seeking a way to escape the house, and I know how. But in return, you have to help me. Who are you? I am the 9th of the 9, she says, the lookout. I am the one left behind. The blaze of the tree is extraordinary. You close your eyes, but you can still see the light through your eyelids, each capillary highlighted in gold. Where are you? Her words are becoming more difficult to hear, as though she is speaking across a yawning abyss. The orchard, she says. This is where, but the rest is inaudible. The light burns your eyes. You look away. Persephone is a shimmering silhouette. How can I help you? Come and find me, says Persephone. Take me down from here. I want to escape just like you. And I can help, if you just free me from these damn spears. The fruit around her head is glowing like miniature suns. The world begins to dissolve in light. We will meet again, she promises, as the light from 1,000 stars strips you to bone. When you understand more, keep exploring, keep writing, learn and grow, and dream of me again. You wake in bed, the sheets drenched in sweat. A dilapidated church. A church from another world, its spires sagging, its steeple fallen in. Candle stubs and damp-rotted holy books scatter the floor inside. You wonder if it was stolen on a holy day. Perhaps an entire congregation was devoured by the dark. You find a rough stone tablet sitting on a lectern. It is carved with runes that seem to subtly crawl atop the granite. Let's take it. The stone tablet feels oddly warm to the touch. We gained a cryptoglyphic tablet. Let's go to the City of Angels. The City of Angels. A city of glorious light and marble. There are more churches here than you can count, and the whole horizon is domes and spires. Don't raise your gaze too high. The angels watch from above. Let's rest and recover. The Dappled Acres is a half-mile expanse of grass and flowers, bathed in the curious warm light that suffuses the entire city. It's a beautiful place, unlike any other in the 7 cities. You wonder why it's so empty of other picnickers. The angels watch you as you eat and drink on the grass. Though they continue to watch you from a distance, you're able to ignore them and relax in the light. So we recovered some sanity. Let's advertise for a crew member. Days or weeks or months in the scuttling tin cans, surrounded by strangers of questionable morality and a significant risk of death or worse. Who wouldn't want to join your expedition? You hope the new prospects don't question why you're in constant need of new crew. You can put up a poster by the Kinetipede station, which is cheap but ineffective, or you could bribe a priest to read your advertisement during their service, which would cast a wide net and doubtless attract prospects, but be moderately expensive. Let's put up a poster. Let's go with a guard for now. Let's wander the streets. A celebratory crowd is marching. Their cheers and trumpets disrupt the usual silence. You are swept with them towards Cinder's Common. A cluster of angels hover silent above the marble square, at the center of which lies a great heap of books and paper. The burners are white-clad men, who trill prayers to the sanctioned as they dip their torches. As the fire roars into existence, the burners step back, their faces red and sweating, and the crowd surges forward, each struggling to fan the flames. Through the flames, though the flames are growing higher by the second, you know that there are some sections of the great heap that have only been lightly brushed by fire. You could theoretically rescue some book from the mounting inferno. Unlikely success. Let's try it. You have no time at all to scan the books in front of you as you find one that looks the most valuable. You make a snap decision and snatch a book, flames licking playfully and painfully at your fingertips. The crowd heaves behind you. For a moment, you don't know if anyone saw you, but you chose your moment well. You frown with disappointment. Far from being valuable, this is a hack book of lurid murder tales, the kind extremely common throughout the 7 cities. It's printed so cheaply that the ink stains your hands as you turn the pages, and turn and turn. It's certainly addictive. We gained a penny dreadful. A prospective passenger waves at us. The Titan Mycona asks for safe passage to the City of Knives. It will pay 100 guineas on arrival. Sure. Let's see, is there anything interesting? Fuel, silk, gunpowder, lumber, chillstone, wine. The cannon destroying angel. I feel like we need to make some more money before we can do things well. So that guy wanted to go to the City of Knives. We know where that is. Okay, let's do our east. I think one of our crew members still had something to say. Yeah, our record keeper. Bradley Baggs, a fat, round-faced man with glaring eyes, an off-putting monobrow, and a terrible temper. He grunts in annoyance as you approach and bristles his brows in your direction. You find him in a sputtering rage. He paces back and forth, snorting and spluttering like a kicked horse. Well, I'd never, in my life, ever conceived of that each three-word fragment is spat out with wounded intensity. I discovered obscene material in the mess hall, Captain. What kind of material? A book of sexually explicit daguerreotypes, says Bradley, after taking a moment to collect himself. The word sexually is spoken in a whisper. Ever since we've left, all I've seen is horror, monstrosity, and perversion, shouts Bradley. The City of Keys is the last worthwhile thing in this entire goddamned house. Let's disagree. There are some things of beauty in the house. You are wrong, Captain. I will bet you 200 guineas that, outside our glorious city and homeland, you can find nothing in this entire house to impress me. Let's accept the wager. I'll stay in the crew as long as it takes to sort out our little wager, grumbles Bradley, but no more obscene material. Just run away from that thing real quick. Yeah, so this house is just a series of rooms. Some of them have things in it that you can interact with. A collapsed library. A library from another world, collapsed in on itself like a badly baked cake. A few scattered books lie amongst the rubble, but they're rotten and damp. Let's do try to find an intact book. Nope. Let's try this building. Okay. There we go, we found a book. Success. Spencer W., your swabby, finds a book still lying on a miraculously untouched shelf. He blows aeons of dust from the cover and shoots you a delighted grin. We gained 1 arcane codex. Yeah, let's go north. So we have a new guard that needs to be named as well. City of Knives. The city of gargantuan megaspikes, stabbing towards the ceiling, backlit by the peculiar glow of the River Scenic. The viridescent light casts shifting, dancing shadows on the walls. Watch your step. Life in the City of Knives is notoriously cheap. Let's gather news. Toxin sharks have been ripping holes in the hulls of boats. Parliament has been in a deadlock for days. A riot in Slaughterer's Wharf has been quelled by the Golem Guard. Let's drop off our passenger. Your passenger pays what was promised and slips into the crowd. We have a prospective passenger here, too. A well-spoken woman asks for safe passage to the City of Engines. She will pay you 100 guineas on arrival. Okay. Getting money. Let's advertise for a crew member. Do a poster again. We gotta... okay. Let's try this guy. Although innocuous translated, his name is a terrible insult in the Karshar language. He stutters when he talks and begs you to forgive him if he makes a mistake. At a mere 7 feet at height, he'd be a runt among his fellow sharkmen. This guy replaced Bradley Boggs for now. That's the guy I made the bet with earlier. Let's wander the streets. On the recommendations of a street peddler, you make your way to the Prong, one of the few mega-spikes on the less affluent western side of the Scenic. Although it's smaller than the mega-spikes to the east, it still takes you half an hour to reach the top in the auto conveyor. Here you find a delightful balcony garden open to the public, just as the street peddler told you. The garden affords the best view of the City of Knives that any traveler could ask for. A viridescent vista stretches before you, glowing water and green-yellow smog, with the mega-spikes silhouetted like a fleet of shark fins in the distance. It's a stark, strange sight, and one that you won't forget for a long while. You gained a breathtaking spectacle. Ooh, we can use that to fill our memory box with exotic memories. I don't know what use that is right now, because I'm still trying to figure out the various currencies. Let's get a bit of fuel. There are guns here, but I really don't feel like get some hooch. Maybe we can use that sometime. Try to get another crew member. Augustus Ribbons, a circumspect man of formal dress and angular proportions. He is a veteran of several wars with scars to prove it. Ruthlessly organized and relentlessly polite, he seems capable of anything. Replace our current pilot, Bishop Landman. Okay. Save. Let's look at our crew real quick. Okay, so these guys that we've been recruiting actually provide really big boosts compared to the starting guys. Oh. Huh. Alright, well, I think that's probably a good leaving off point for now. See if we can pick this up again sometime soon.